Hi, Mom! Happy Mother's Day! I love you. I love you, I love you, I love you. Um, so, this is me on a video on the internet. There should be a lot more of these in like the next few days here. That's what I've been working on, to the exclusion of everything else. I haven't been paying attention to anything else, not even where I'm gonna sleep at night, not even where I'm gonna find food, not anything else. I've been focused entirely on making some really good videos for a website, which, like I said, absolutely should be done this week. And it can grow from there, but it's not going to take nearly as much focus as it has. And I'm really happy about it. It's like the best thing I think I've done with myself, to be like a positive part of society and not just like think that these trends that started sometime in the past, like before I was born, are fine to just mindlessly continue. You know, like the world is not doing as well as America because America's stolen all of the world's stuff. We have 80% of the world's resources here, and there are places where, you know, mothers and children are dying because of that. And people here have this attitude about it, like, we stole all your stuff and we're not even gonna pay attention to that. What do you guys know? So I haven't had that attitude and been making these videos, and there will be a lot of them that you can see. You can watch them on the computer. You know, Renato can show you how and everything. But this is a Happy Mother's Day video for you. This is the garden, the home. It's thriving. It's doing pretty good. It's funny. There's like, here's some tomato plants. And here's some other tomato plants. This is the difference between planting on time, close to on time, and not on time. These little tiny things versus like huge tomato plants. Got kind of portable garden going on back there, or back there, and oh yeah, here, like some rosemary and bell pepper and stuff. I think that's pretty cool. A mobile garden. Well, most of those are going to stay, if not all of them, but it's a potentially mobile garden. I think that's really cool. Lots of garlic and onions and stuff like that. Got a where is it? Anyway, somewhere there's a hole for sprouting things in, and actually planted beans that I had sprouted. I'll just show you. This camera's a little hard to navigate. Well, so that's a hole to sprout things in, and these are sprouted love beans. It's pretty cool. They're really prolific, and it's just dirt. I think we put some guano in it. There's a lot of bats here in Austin, so we could get our hands on that. But they're growing. It's pretty neat. They're gonna help block sunlight to keep cool temperature in there for good sprouting. I went to a marijuana legalization march yesterday because like 74% of people, according to some poll or some statistic, are for the legalization of marijuana and industrial hemp in Austin. And it was cool. I liked the big crowd of people standing on the Capitol steps asking to be represented, saying, hey, we want you to represent us, representatives. What I didn't like is that it was a farce, it seemed, the people who were speaking, a lot of them, because they would allude to things like industrial hemp. They would talk about how great it would be if it was totally legal and we could, you know, make all the things that you can make out of hemp freely. But then that's not what they were advocating. What they were advocating was controlled, regulated medical marijuana, meaning there's dispensaries where people can go and buy it from the government for jacked up prices. So pretty much they're saying, no, we can't use it as fuel instead of the oil that we're fighting this war for. No, we can't use it as fabric instead of cotton, which is what we use 50% of our water in this country to grow. No, we can't use it for paper and stop, cutting down our national forests to make toilet paper. And no, we can't, use it for food and for milk, even though it outgrows every other thing near it. You actually have to spend more time keeping it from not growing, which is probably not too much time you'd have to spend to do that, than you would actually having to grow it. So they're just trying to make money and continue limiting something which would create a lot of abundance, which is what money is supposed to represent. I don't get it. It's so crazy. I think there's two possibilities for why that's how it is. I think either it's groups of people who are just continuing trends from the past of making money at any cost, boards of stockholders and companies who the only thing that they can agree on is making more money. So, even if a couple of them try and say something to the effect of let's not make things harder for the world just so we can make some money, they don't get a say in the company anymore. And then, the rest of those guys, they get lobbyists, which are, I guess, thugs, who go and bribe and threaten the politicians and their families and stuff like that to make them, pass laws which just, hand them tax money and, make it so they can't have any competition, no small scale farmers in Vermont and stuff like that. And total legalization of industrial hemp and marijuana would mean that the criminal justice system would not be making as much money, because I guess most of the time that people are going to jail and prison it's for marijuana charges and stuff like that, and they're increasing the amount of jails that there are and stuff like that. But and then the paper industry, like I said, the oil industry, like I said, but it's fine, because it just means that the benefit of all the stuff they're working so hard to get with a lot less work. It means everybody would have to work less and we would have a lot more stuff. So I was there. I didn't know that was happening. I thought that was pretty cool. I was yelling some stuff, and then other people were yelling some stuff too, which was really neat. People were yelling 9/11 was an inside job, and water rights are human rights. Good stuff, important stuff. There was a presidential candidate there. He actually said, because I was listening, these guys are clever. They can tell when the crowd has focus on what they're saying and when they don't, and they slip in some weird stuff and they get the crowd to cheer for it, and then it's the crowd is kind of well, what do we do now, because we just cheered for that, and does that mean that we're accepting it? Do we yell something now? And a lot of people don't. He actually said, fair taxes, we'll be totally done with those. We are totally done with those. And he got everybody to cheer for that without them realizing totally that they just cheered for him saying, done with fair taxes. As if there were any. So that was yesterday, and I went to a grand opening of Space the Greenhouse I was telling you about, the place to showcase art. They're really awesome. My friend went with me, and they put some of her stuff on display right there and then to showcase. I'll show you something that I'm working on right now. I have these slivers of privet that I've hand sawed and filed, and I'm gonna this is a big one, then there's smaller ones, but big ones I'm gonna do a few things like a sun and a moon and a labyrinth and tree of life and a flower of life and stuff like that. But I'm gonna put a star chart. I have some star charts over it, and I'm gonna put an actual constellation on it for a backdrop of stars, and then I'm gonna put a horoscope